Good evening, students. Welcome to the live learning classes organized by Board of Studies ICAI. Today's evening, we have two topics for our discussion. One is on import and export procedure for baggage provisions, and also one topic for transit and transshipment. These two are the topics which are left over from previous session, that is import-export procedure, and also one another topic on refund and customs. These are the two topics earmarked for today's discussion. Okay? Before we start with our discussion, as a protocol, people are watching me live, need a confirmation from some of you. You're able to listen, and also my screen is visible. So I just need a confirmation from some of you. Based on that, we will go ahead with our discussion. Good evening, Mansa. Good evening, Shailesh. Good evening, Harshit. Let me have the confirmation now. You are able to see my screen, and also, yeah, thanks for the confirmation, Shailesh. All good. Before we start, there is one question waiting for me in the question window. Harshit has asked this question. So I'll take up this question and then we'll continue with our today's discussion, right? So Harshit is asking, so can any petty pilferage of goods, custodian need to pay duty, or there will be mutually waiver? Okay, there are a couple of questions. So first question I'll take up. So Harshit is asking, sir, if there is a pilferage, he is asking petty pilferage. Harshit, just to clarify, pilferage is a smaller activity, not like a damage or loss. It's like small petty theft. So by default, pilferage is indicating that it's a petty theft. When there is a pilferage, and pilferage happened in the custody of a custodian, okay, then the duty payable on the goods shall be the responsibility of custodian. It will not be on the importer. Reason, let's take example this way. Say Harshit has imported a dozen mangoes. There is a box where there are 3x4 slot where mangoes have been placed. One mango is missing. While unloading, 12 mangoes are there. While doing the assessment for clearance, domestic clearance, the proper officer noted that one mango is missing. Now, where was that missing? It was in the presence or in the custody of custodian. That point in time, because it's in the custody of custodian, he will be made responsible to pay the duty which is lost on that petty theft, which is called pilferage. This is the answer for first question. Second question, if someone came from foreign and due to high duty amount, they don't want to take the goods in India, deposited with customs authorities, whether they will charge any consideration to keep the goods free of cost. A good question. Just give me, say, 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes from now. I'll give answer to your second question. Reason, your second question is way ahead of my today's topic for coverage. So definitely I'll cover your second question. Thanks for the confirmation, Munish Gupta, Edkondalu, Rahim. Long time, Munish and Edkondalu. I think after a long time, you guys are attending the classes. And one more question from Harshit again. So whether Annexure 1, 2, 3 only duty-free goods are used, personal effects, need to duty. Okay. Baggage, Harshit, don't worry, ma. I'm going to cover today. I'm going to clarify. Mansa, I got your point. Accompanied baggage, unaccompanied baggage. I'm going to clarify all these questions. So what we will do, we will come to the basic learning of baggage and then we'll clarify one by one all these aspects, right? So a couple of confusion was there, couple of clarifications were required. I'll go slow and steady where I'll ensure that you're going to understand in detail the provisions connected with baggage. And one small correction to this valuation, which I have explained. I'll clarify even that point, that particular topic in today's discussion. Just give a minute. Yeah. Now, to start with, there is one particular topic which I'll clarify, I'll explain, then we will come into this particular discussion. Let me take a blank slide. Now, one small point I missed out to clarify in the last class. I'll just explain that and we'll come back to baggage provisions. When I explained you provisions of section 14, which deals with your valuation, my valuation can be done on two bases. One is ad valorem value, another is tariff. When I say ad valorem value, the duty is as a percentage. Duty will be calculated as percentage of a particular value. Percentage of a particular value. When I say my valuation is on with reference to tariff, my duty will be fixed for items on the basis of liter or metric ton or volume or length or kg. There will be a parameter. They'll say 100 rupees per liter or 2000 per gram, 2000 per kilogram, 15,000 per metric ton. So there is a measurement of my duty fixed on the basis of a particular unit of measurement. Now, one point which I over jumped in the previous session, for baggage, when they say 35% ad valorem value, 35% ad valorem is for baggage, So when they say so, assuming if my value of goods is rupees 10,000, on this, my customs duty shall be 3,500 and your cess surcharge will be at the rate of 10%, 350. So total is going to be 13,850. This is how we shall calculate our customs duty, because there is a reference to ad valorem of baggage. This is one particular concept I have failed, I have not explained in the previous session. So please understand, ad valorem refers to percentage of a particular value. Tariff refers to a particular fixed amount on a particular item on the basis of unit of measurement. These are a couple of basics which we need to understand. Coming back, baggage, the definition says it includes unaccompanied baggage. It includes unaccompanied baggage, but excludes, but does not include motor vehicle. But it does not include motor vehicle. This is a simple definition of baggage, where when we refer to baggage, it could be a personal belonging, it could be a household item, or it could be a category called gift and souvenir. Now, when I say this, these are as per baggage rules. These are as per baggage rules. Under customs law, there was a special importance given to these baggage rules, where your personal belongings, your jewelry, and your residence, these were covered in respective items under Rule 3 to Rule number 6. Under Rule 3 to Rule number 6. This is a declaration. Under Section 77, there is a declaration given by the owner. That will be the basis for the person in charge, to mention those items in import general manifest, export general manifest. So when I say baggage, My baggage could be accompanied, unaccompanied. Now, so what do you mean by accompanied baggage? As you all know, when you travel by flight, you are allowed to take your bag along with you. So the bag which you carry, the bag could be carried with you into the aeroplane, or you can give it to a particular, the team who put it into the luggage. Both are called accompanied baggage. That means to say, when you travel, along with you, the goods travel. Along with you, accompany, along with you, goods travel. This is called my accompanied baggage. Unaccompanied baggage. Baggage travels prior or post your journey. Baggage travels prior or post your journey. That means to say, scenario B, let's take an example. Harshit has to travel from Singapore to India. Harshit has some emergency where he has unplanned travel to India. So what he does, he comes to India. After he visits India, one of friend of Harshit says Shailesh. Shailesh says, yeah, you leave to India. Don't worry about your luggage. I'll pack and I'll send across. So after a couple of days, Harshit luggage comes to India in a flight or whatever. That's called unaccompanied baggage. So I can send my luggage in advance or after I have come. These are exceptional cases. Even then, that's called as a baggage. The terminology they have used is unaccompanied baggage. Now, in both the case, this import and export, how does the customs get to know that there is a baggage? Using this IGM or reference to EGM, customs authorities get to know that there is a goods which have come as baggage. So why is that we are talking about these items called baggage? I'll just clarify that also here. Let me take a fresh slide. Now, importance why we are giving to baggage. Baggage, there is a policy decision that not everything has to be taxed or subject to duty. Now, the policy maker cannot be very stringent that on each and everything which is visible, which is tradable, which is imported, which is exported, I want to collect duty. So as a policy decision, they wanted to give some relaxation. So first and foremost, there is a relaxation on duty. Now, this relaxation is subject to value or goods. So they have limited what can be brought as a baggage, what cannot be brought as a baggage. So they have defined in rule number 4 to rule number 6. I think rule number 3 to rule 6. When we travel to the respective rules, you will see in these rules, what is that relaxation they have given? Either value or basis of goods. Like example, the other day I was giving example. Say someone is carrying like what you call a pistol, this gun with them. Pistol could be for security purpose, but customs law says that look, I have a policy. I can give few items as a baggage, few I cannot allow you as a baggage. Similarly, 5 liters of liquor. They say, look, we understand that you are a habitual smoker or you are a habitual drinker. As the policy of customs law, up to 2 liters I can allow you as a baggage. So what happens if it is more than 2 liters? Sorry, our rules does not permit to allow you to carry more than 2 liters. Similarly, I am a habitual smoker. If I carry, say, 1,000 packs of cigarettes, they say, look, we have a permission. Up to 100 cigarettes, I can permit. What happens if it is more than 100? Sorry, I cannot allow you to bring that as a baggage. Reason, the goods may come in the color of baggage can be lead into smuggling. In the sense, I bring as a baggage and I do a trading activity. Assuming for a moment, there is a drink, I'm not sure about the price of a liquor. For a moment, let's assume that per liter, it's cost 1,000. This liquor is available for 400 rupees in Dubai. So what happens? Three friends travel together. Three friends carry 3 liters. 3 into 600, 1,800, there is a saving. So every visit, assuming that if I allow this as a custom without any control, there's a possibility for smuggling. This is point number 1. Second, benefit of lower customs duty. So I get a lesser charge, I get a lesser duty to be paid if it is a baggage. This is the benefit of bringing baggage. Third, exemption from IGST. Under GST provisions, there is a specific exemption. If goods are imported as baggage, no GST is applied. So, assuming that I bring 2 television, law says that one television is permitted. We had discussed on this item called refrigerator. Schedule number 3, refrigerator. Refrigerator of 200 liters. Up to 300 liters, I can import as a baggage. If I import a refrigerator, one for 200 liters, plus another for 500 liters. Now, what happens here? One is permissible as a baggage, another will be subjected to basic customs duty, surcharge, plus GST, IGST. So all put together, this is going to be at par with the rate which is available in India. So this is how there is a treatment of GST on baggage other than baggage. So these are the reasons why my baggage provisions are drawing attention for examination. Now, rate of duty. This is one thing which I missed out in the last class to explain. I also overjumped on this ad valorem. Please understand, the basic customs duty for baggage is 35%. On this, I'll be charging SWS for 10%, plus surcharge of 10%. I charge surcharge of 10%. So this is the advantage of my baggage provisions. Advantage of my baggage provisions. Let me come to the respective slide mark. In institute material, let's look at the other provisions concerned with baggage. When I'm explaining this, look at your Annexure 1, Annexure 2, Annexure 3 in module number 5, page number 55. Module number 5, page number 55. As I'm explaining, make a running notes in your institute material. Social welfare surcharge. Rate of duty is not applicable to firearms, cartridges of firearms exceeding 50, etc. They say this exemption, whatever is given here, it is not applicable to respective items which are listed in your Annexure 1, which are listed in your Annexure 1. Annexure 1 draws attention that when I travel Rule 3, Rule 4, Rule 5, Rule 6, all these annexures has brought a clarity what can be allowed as a general duty-free baggage, what is not allowed as a general duty-free baggage. Now, under section 79, my provision says that subject to the rules, what we are going to discuss today, the officer may allow free of duty for specific baggage. Specific baggage, one of the example, used personal belongings. Used personal belongings. Personal use of any article in the baggage of a passenger or member of the crew. So the baggage could be carried by the individual passenger or the member of the crew. Any article in the baggage that is use of a passenger or his family or is a bona fide gift or souvenir. Value of each such article and total value in this within the limit is specified. Now we will travel to rules to understand what are prescribed as duty-free baggage allowance. Classification, as I explained in the previous class, baggage is identified for passenger separately, for member of crew separately. And this classification into three categories. One, personal effects. Second, household effects. Third is your gift and souvenir. Personal effects, again, two bifurcation is there. One is in respect to jewelry. Another is other than jewelry. They have covered, when I say personal effects, jewelry is also personal effect. So why do you say personal effect? I use chain. I use a chain. I wear a chain. I use put a ring. I use various articles made of jewelry, which is reflected as a personal belonging. Now, each culture has got some traditions where on a, when there is a namakarna, we put a small chain on to baby. Over the period, when the child grows, we pierce ears. When the ears are pierced, we put a copper or golden, this jewelry studs into the ears. Over the age, once any occasion comes, we will wear rings to the fingers. So as a custom, jewelry is also considered as one of the personal effects. So separate provision is connected with my jewelry. Now, when I refer to general duty-free baggage allowance, reference to Annexure 1, Annexure 2, Annexure 3. Reference to Annexure 1, Annexure 2, Annexure 3. These three annexures are relevant. As I explained in the last class, like Namrata was asking this down, sir, do I need to buy heart? Do I need to remember? The answer is, you need to remember the quantum. You need to understand what is included, what is excluded. Like example, when they say cartridge of firearm exceeding 50, less than 50 is not forming part of my annexure 1. They say exceeding 50 is referred in annexure 1. If it is 40, it is not covered in annexure 1. This is what we need to understand. I also made you to refer to these definitions of infant, resident, tourist, and personal effects. These are the four definitions which are relevant from Rule 3 to Rule number 6. I repeat, these definitions we will be using across from Rule number 3 to Rule number 6. Now, let me jump to your institute material. Having discussed this. Yes. Now, the provision says that passenger baggage rules. Please come to page number 5.50 of your institute material. Page number 5.50. Starting with general duty-free baggage allowance. They say these are the items which are the general, the attention comes general, means in general, as a practice. Duty-free baggage allowance. I call duty-free baggage allowance for different class of passengers coming from different country. Based on the passenger, based on the country. There is a duty-free baggage allowance which is allowed. What do they say? Rule number 3. Rule number 3. Class of passenger, Indian resident or foreigner residing in India. Indian resident. All of you are listening to my session. All fall in this category called Indian resident or foreigner residing in India. Why does a foreigner reside in India? Probably employment purpose. Who has come for employment purpose. Or tourist. Tourist is a person who comes on a occasional, who comes on a as a guest, who stays for a certain point in time and goes back. Tourist of Indian origin, excluding an infant, because infant they have given a separate clarity. So tourist of Indian origin, excluding infant. So tourist only if he is an Indian origin, the duty free baggage allowance is there. Any tourist other than Indian origin, there is no reference to duty free baggage allowance. Like example, so say Shailesh, who happens to be a resident, who has gone to Singapore, he has settled over there. He comes to India on a tourist as a guest for a short period. He comes as a tourist. So that point in time, Shailesh will be referred as a tourist. Along with Shailesh, one of his friend, say Mr. John comes. John also happens to be a tourist. Is he a Indian origin? Tourist of Indian origin. Mr. John is a tourist, but he is not a Indian origin. In that case, the benefit which is given to Mr. Shailesh is not given to Mr. John. So what does this say? Any country other than Nepal, Bhutan, and Myanmar, they say the articles which are allowed free of duty. Used personal effects and travel souvenir. Used personal effects and travel souvenir. So there is no limit for point number one. Anything which is brought as used personal effects, allowed as duty-free allowance. Anything brought as travel souvenir, allowed as duty-free allowance. And articles up to the value of rupees 50,000. When I say articles, this articles, they say excluding articles mentioned in annexion number 1. If carried on in person or in accompanied baggage of the passenger. If carried on in person or in the accompanied baggage of the passenger. So here I bring in person or as accompanied baggage. These are allowed up to rupees 50,000. Up to rupees 50,000. This is what they are referring to. Your rule number 3 with reference to annexion number 1. So how do we understand this particular point? Let me use an Excel file. To clarify this. Let me. Hope you are able to see my Excel file now. I'll put the items, serial number, item, or I'll say description. Then value per unit and quantity, total value. Let's assume that I brought, say, personal belongings. Then I also brought a gift. My provision say used personal effects and travel souvenir. I'll say travel souvenir. Then let me refer to say cartridge, or I'll say liquor per 5 liters. Then let me just see the list annexure 1 once so that I can take one more item. Alcoholic liquor, excess of 2 liters, gold or silver in any form other than ornament. Gold or silver in any form other than ornament. I'll say gold. I brought, say, 40 grams, 24 carat. 24 carat gold. Personal belongings, I'll just put the value, total value here. Say 2,25,000. Travel souvenir, say 50,000. Liquor of 5 liters. Value per unit, say 1,500. Quantities 5 units, 5 liters, 5 into 7,500. Then 24 karat gold of 40 grams. Now value will be 24 karat gold, 40 grams per gram. Okay, I'll put this 40 grams over here. Value per gram, let me say 6,200 per gram. So the value will be 6,200 into 40. This is my total value of items which I have carried along with me. Now, duty-free baggage allowance. Now, when I read carefully, please look at your institute material. First item, they say rule number three, any passenger who is a resident, foreigner residing in India, tourist of Indian origin. Let us assume that it is a resident. And this resident has come from, say, Singapore. Use personal effects and travel souvenir. There is no value. So my duty-free baggage allowance for personal belongings and travel souvenir, 50,000. These two without any value is considered as duty-free baggage allowance. Then articles up to value of rupees 50,000, excluding articles mentioned in Annexure number 1. If carried in person or in accompanied baggage of the passenger. So they say that articles to a value of rupees 50,000 up to rupees 50,000, excluding the articles which are mentioned in Annexure number 1. So here, now, this item, liquor, up to 2 liters is, more than 2 liters is covered in Annexure 1. So here, my duty-free bag allowance will be 0. Similarly, they say, if you refer to your Annexure 1, they say that gold or silver other than ornaments. Now here, it is other than ornament. My pure gold brought in the pure form other than as an ornament. Then the duty-free bag allowance for this will be 0. Accordingly, dutiable value will be this minus. My total value on which customs duty need to be paid shall be 2,55,500. This is how we apply provisions connected with rule number 3. Hope you are able to appreciate how we will apply rule number 3. We are just trying to understand who is the person who has come, on the basis who has visited, whether or not this will be allowed as a duty-free baggage allowance. Let me see any doubts before I go further. Ashit, your questions, ma'am. I'm giving examples. Hope you are getting the clarity for your question. Still, if you have this question which you have asked beginning of the session, let me know. I'll cover up once again. Mansa says, passenger baggage rules cover only accompanied baggage. Mansa, hope I have explained this, ma. Accompanied baggage, unaccompanied baggage. Also the meaning of unaccompanied baggage. And in case of unaccompanied baggage, the person who is declared as the owner at the time of goods which are coming, he will be the owner of those goods, ma. Hope you are back on track, Mansa. By filing baggage declaration form, we can enjoy the benefit of baggage rules. For accompanied baggage, there is no owner. Okay, Mansa, there is nothing like non-existence of owner. Any goods other than your derelict, float SAM, jet SAM, in case of baggage, always there will be a reference to individual will be called as an owner. Reason, if there is no ownership, goods are not permitted to be entered into India. Though I am saying the term unaccompanied baggage, there will be a person who will be referred who will be carrying these goods. Okay. Once I clarified your doubt, na? Now, Harshit, I'm going to explain what happens if goods are other than your annexure. Okay. Uh, Rule number 6 is covered in residence, ma. I think Mans is asking. Mans, I'll give a clarity. Hold on to it. I'll give a clarity. Good evening, Namrata. Ah, okay. Mans says it's already given here. Okay. Now, I'll explain. Like Namrata says, sir, can you explain this point once again? Sure, Namrata. Just give me a minute. Let me come to the respective uh, point. Just give me a minute. I'm coming to the respective slide. Page number 5.5. Yeah. I was explaining rule number 3. Rule number 3. Let me share the screen with you. Yeah. Okay. Namrata, we were discussing on rule number 3. In the problem, in the examination, how do we read these baggage provisions? Let me put it this way. Step 1, identify the passenger. That means this is one point which would be tested examination. Are you jumping to solve the problem, or are you in a position to read the question, understand before giving your answer? Reason? When I say tourist of Indian origin, tourist of foreign origin, and there is a differentiation. So please look carefully the passenger whom we are referring to. Based on your tourist, the answer is going to change completely. This is your step number 1. Step number 2, identify the country. Identify the country. Then step number 3, evaluate the goods as per annexure 1. Annexure number 1. So do I need to remember annexure 1? Answer is yes. Reason? Examination. There is no luxury of open book system. Also, there is no luxury like your statistics chart. Annexure 1, annexure 2, annexure 3 may not be given. May not be given. But the items which are there in annexure 1, it is pretty easy to remember. So please examine these 3 points, right? Once you have understood that, the most of the times, like it will be either Indian origin or the tourist of Indian origin or the resident. Either from this resident or tourist from an Indian origin will be referred. Now, you need to remember this NBM. Between NM and M, there's a person called B. So NBM, Nepal, Bhutan, and Myanmar. So here, use personal effects and travel souvenirs. This is allowed as duty-free baggage. And articles up to value of rupees 50,000. Up to the value of rupees 50,000. Excluding articles mentioned in Annexure 1. So when I'm computing this rupees 50,000, I will exclude articles mentioned in Annexure 1. Reason? There is no duty-free baggage allowance for Annexure 1. They have used a reference excluding articles mentioned in Annexure 1. If articles are there in Annexure 1, I will not get the benefit of this duty-free baggage allowance. Duty-free baggage allowance. I need to pay proper duty. If carried on in person or in accompanied baggage. So it is accompanied baggage or carried in person of the passenger. So in this case, they have saying 50,000. Now to explain this, I was showing you this particular example, which is there in my Excel file. Let me come back to Excel file. Carefully, no hurry. Let's travel together. Then we will go to the next step. Harshit, I will answer your question, ma. Let's follow this question. Then we'll come to the next question. This is my model number 1. In model number 1, personal belongings, travel souvenir, liquor for 5 liters, 24 karat gold is covered. Now, when you look at these 4 items, item number 3, item number 4, serial number 3 and 4 are those items which are covered in Annexure 1. Now, when I look at rule number 3, excluding Annexure 1, they have said, because it is excluded in rule number 3, my duty-free baggage allowance will be 0. I don't get any benefit for these two. What happens to personal belongings? They didn't say any value, so it's completely allowed. Travel souvenir, completely allowed. Liquor, not allowed. 24 karat, not allowed. So dutiable value will be 7,500, 2,48 on this complete duty will be payable. This is my model number 1. Now, there was a question from Harshit. Sir, how do we apply this value of 50,000, the value of 50,000? Now I'm going to show you how do we calculate this 50,000. Look at my screen carefully. Now I'm slightly making an order. Liquor for 1.5 liters. Liquor for 1.5 liters. Quantity, I'll say 1.5 liters. And 24 karat gold is there. Instead, I'll say, let me have, say, 50 cigarettes. 50 cigarettes. Per cigarette, say 80 rupees. 80 rupees is the cost per cigarette and quantity is 50 cigarettes. So value is going to be 80 into 50. To get little more higher value, let me increase little more. 1.5. Okay. Instead of this, I'll just take 15,000. Just a hypothetical example for us to examine. 50 cigarettes, each cigarette is worth, say, 1,000 rupees. Each cigarette is worth 1,000 rupees. Just a hypothetical example for us to understand the provision, right? Now, duty-free baggage allowance, when I look at this, first I'll take, there is a limit. There's a limit. So, my dutiable value will be 22,500. My dutiable value will be 50,000. Total value is 72,500 less duty free baggage allowance. In totality, for those articles which are covered in rule number 3, articles up to value of 50,000 if carried on in person. So here, articles which are carried on up to rupees 50,000, I get a duty-free baggage allowance. Net value dutiable 72,500 minus 50,000. So here, I just considered the values, the value of articles, and that total value I compare with the allowance which is given to me. My duty-free baggage allowance is up to rupees 50,000, provided passenger or is from passenger from notified list and from other than notified country. If the passenger is from notified list other than notified country, this is how I calculate my net value of duty. Net value for duty. So how much is the customs duty? You will say, because it's a baggage, basic customs duty at valorem value 35%. On this 35%. Social welfare surcharge 10%. On this 10%. Total duty, tell me. 124 rupees, which needs to be paid by the passenger. Are we clear with model number 2? Are we clear with model number 2? Mansa and Harshit, I have many questions from you. Are you clear with this rule after model number 2? Namrata, you said it's not clear and you were referring to limit of 50,000. How I have calculated this 50,000? Is this clear now? Yes, Mansa. Mansa is asking this question. Sir, on liquor exceeding 2 liters and gold, which is discussed in model number 1, does it attract 100% duty? Answer is yes. It's not subject to baggage rate. It is subjected to 100% rate, where respective entries will be taken into consideration for computation of customs duty. Great. Mansa, hope I have clarified you, ma. Harshit, are we clear? This is a list of questions flowing from Harshit. I believe Harshit read and came prepared. So most of the questions I can see from Harshit end today. And Mansa also is having back-to-back questions on these things. Mansa and Harshit, are we clear, ma? Can we go ahead? Okay. Venkat Harshit says, sir, example 2 is clear. Please explain one more for 100% dutiable and also cover the goods in Annex 2. Annex 2 and Annex 3 is not relevant. But again, on request of the no, Harshit, we'll cover that also again. I'll just copy this format as it is. Model number 3. I'll call this as model number 3. Personal belongings. Instead of travel souvenir, I'll say used jewelry, or I'll say jewelry. Jewelry is other than gold as well. Jewelry value, I'll say 85,000. And then refrigerator up to refrigerator, I'll just say 100 liters. Then let's have this figure cigarettes also as it is. My jewelry is worth 85,000. I'll just remove this. I'll also remove this formula. Jewelry 85,000, refrigerator 180 liters, value per unit, only one refrigerator, quantity is 1. Value, let's assume that it's 50,000. Then cigarettes, let's continue with cigarettes example, right? Now, duty-free baggage allowance. Rule number 3, when you read, entire personal belongings are duty-free baggage allowance. Now, when you travel to jewelry, read your rule number 3, use personal effects and travel souvenir. Only these 2 items, there is no reference to your value, right? Articles up to value of 50,000 other than Annex 1 if carried in person. So here, I'm giving answer for this jewelry before reading the other adjoining rule 4, rule 5, rule 6. Jewelry alone, there is a separate rule. Jewelry alone, there is a separate rule. Just for understanding rule 3, I'm just explaining this. Please keep in mind, I'm taking jewelry only from your rule 3 point of view before explaining rule 4, rule 5, rule 6. Right? Hypothetical example. As per rule 3, articles other than Annex 1. Is jewelry covered in Annex 1? Answer is no, it's not covered. So here, duty-free baggage allowance, I would say, this is subject to limit. This is subject to limit. And what is the dutiable value? I'll just take total value. Refrigerator. Now, refrigerator, is it covered in Annex 1? Answer is no. Is it an article? Answer is yes. Then it is subject to limit. And the value of total refrigerator, I'll take for duty purpose. Then 50 cigarettes. I have a limit of exceeding 100 cigarettes as per Annex 1. So this is not falling in Annex 1. Then what I will do? This 50,000, again, I'll examine. It is an article subject to my limit. So the value of this is 50,000. My total value of goods brought as a baggage is 1.85 lakh. As per rule number 3, I'm a person, I'm a resident, I'm coming from USA, where the limit allowed for articles is 50,000. Accordingly, my net value on which the duty needs to be paid is 1.35 lakh. On this 1.35 lakh, basic customs duty at rate of 35%. I think formula is mistaken. I have to take 35%. My value of customs duty is 35%, 472. Such social welfare surcharge, 10%, which comes to 519.7. Are we clear now? Ashit, this is a third model which you asked me to explain more. Can we go ahead? Mansis is clear? Good. Namrat also says clear. Let's go ahead to read further on rule number 3. Now, if I read rule number 3 further, in rule number 3, tourists of any foreign origin excluding infant. So here, in the above entry, tourist of Indian origin. In next entry, they say tourist of foreign origin. So here, if it is an Indian origin tourist, the value is given 50,000. In case of tourist alone, who is a foreign origin, other than Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, use personal effects and travels on it. There is no limit. Everything is allowed as free of baggage. Articles up to value of 50,000 excluding Annex 1. If carried on in person or in the accompanied baggage of the passenger. So here, these goods which have come as accompanied baggage, for a tourist, the value is mentioned for 15,000. So here, even for a foreign tourist, used personal effects and travel souvenir are exempted under GST. So examination, the moment you see for a tourist, please don't jump into giving a relaxation of 50,000. Read carefully. Is the tourist from Indian origin or the tourist from foreign origin? This makes a difference. Now, no need to buy examination. You just need to remember 5015. If it is a foreigner, lesser benefit. If it is a foreigner of Indian, the tourist of Indian origin, then 50,000. This is the value which I have to give. Moving further. Rule number 4. Indian resident or foreigner residing in India or tourist excluding tourist. Enter number 4, you can just say tourist. There is no Indian origin or foreign origin. Where he is from Nepal, Bhutan or Myanmar. They say common for rule 3, rule 4, both entries use personal effects and travels only. All the 3 entries, this first point is common. Articles up to value 15K, excluding articles of Annex 1, if carried on in person or in accompanied baggage of the passenger on arriving by land. Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, this is covering by land. Even by otherwise also, they get the same benefit. Only use personal. Okay. On arriving by land, they say only use personal effects. If this particular passenger is coming by land, only use personal effects is allowed as duty-free baggage allowance. So why is this benefit of 15,000 not given by land? Policy decision. We cannot have logic. We cannot have reasoning for each and every taxing provision. There are some reasons attached to that which may not be in a public domain. But please understand, in case if the passenger is coming from Nepal, Bhutan or Myanmar by land, that is by road, only personal effects are allowed. Travel souvenir excluded. Articles excluded. So only personal effects would be tested. Now examination. So what will be tested? By and large, this entry, that is rule number 4, would be tested. Reason, there is a specific entry for land and there is a specific reference compared to the other 3 entries. So wait and watch, read your question carefully, understand what information they have given. On the basis of that, remember these 3 rules: input 1, input 2, input 3. Input 1, passenger. Input 2, country. Input 3, articles. Examine these 3 things. Examine these 3 things. Once you have clarity on these 3 aspects, how you will give your answer is pretty easy for you to understand. Before we go with the next rule, are we clear? Rule number 5. Before I come with rule number 5, are we clear? Harshit says, sorry, ma'am. There is a small mistake. My duty computation should be 1,35,000 into 35%. 35,000. Thanks, Harshit. I did the correction. Sorry. There was a mistake in my application of formula. Thanks, Harshit. I have rectified that. Okay. Are we clear with rule number 3, rule number 4? How do we apply? How do we read annexure 1? How do I take that value for the calculation of duty? Great. I'll go further now with rule number 5. Rule number 5 talks about jewelry allowance. Now, this is what I was, when I was talking about model number 2, I said jewelry only for the purpose of rule 3, I will discuss. Now I'm giving more clarity on jewelry allowance. Rule number 5 says that class of passenger. Passenger residing abroad for more than 1 year. There is a passenger who was residing abroad for more than 1 year, coming from any country. So unlike my duty-free baggage allowance for rule 3, rule number 4, in case of jewelry, they just say that there should be a passenger who's residing abroad for more than 1 year. So more than 1 year residence. Okay. When I say residential status, all of you will take me for task for rule section 9. I'll just say residing abroad more than 1 year. I'm not touching about section 9 of income tax. I'm just restricting to rule 5 under customs. That is baggage rules. So here, I should be a passenger and I'm residing abroad for more than 1 year. What does the provision say? In case of a gentleman, male, jewelry up to a weight of 20 grams with a value cap of 50,000. So there is a jewelry up to weightage of 20 grams with a value cap of 50,000. In case of a lady passenger, jewelry up to weightage of 40 grams with a value cap of 1 lakh. So 50K male, 100K female. Female have more tendency to apply the jewelry articles. That's why they have given a higher value for female passenger. So can this be clubbed? Like when husband and wife are coming back, can the clubbing be permissible? What do you think, student? What do you think, ma? Can husband and wife, when they're traveling together, say, husband, this is the duty-free baggage allowance. Assuming husband is bringing jewelry worth 25,000, wife is bringing jewelry worth 125,000. 25K, 125K. Now, the gap of husband, 25K, the excess gap of wife, can these be accommodated saying that, sir, मियाँ और बीबी के बीच में कोई फर्क नहीं रहेगा. Why don't you club these two together? You may relaxation. Can I do that? So, what would be your view? Can I club both benefits? And I'll give the answer. I want you to think. If you say yes, why? If you say no, why? So that I'll get to know whether you're following the provisions right from the root. Can I club? If yes, why? If you say I cannot club, why? I would be happy to hear from you. Why do you say no? I got an answer: no, no, no. 3 no's. Mansa says no. Customs law does not allow. No clubbing in customs like income tax. Clubbing provision is there only in income tax, not in customs law. Okay. Mansa says it is not permissible under customs law. Okay. Namrata says cannot be clubbed. Fine. Same as chapter 6A of income tax act. Okay. I'll come back to this. Now please understand passenger. The law refers to passenger. My passenger could be infant. My passenger could be other than infant. And when a declaration is given, under section 77, do you think that husband and wife put together one declaration will be given? And also, when a ticket is booked, husband and wife will have to pay, though ticket has got for all the passengers, they have to pay respective charges for each of them separately. Declaration is need to be given separately. At the same time, the value also to be assessed separately. So answer for this, not permissible. Not permissible. Unlike your income tax, under GST, this clubbing provisions are not permissible. So here, when I read this particular entry number, Rule 5, there is a specific provision with reference to the residential. Now, let me take one simple example on the basis of this. Okay, I'll solve problem number 3 and then I'll come back to problem number 2. Problem number 2 is a recap of our homework of rule number 3. Okay. Problem number 3. Mr. A visited for employment on 10th April 2020. After 3 months, his wife joined him for a stay in US. Both of them returned back to India on 15th April 2021. Examine duty-free allowance, if any. Personal effects of Mr. A, laptop of Mr. A, jewelry of Mr. A. Similarly, personal effects of Mrs. A, laptop, nothing from Mrs. A, jewelry of Mrs. A. So they have given these information. On the basis of this, You have to help me. You have to help me to identify the general duty-free allowance from Mr. A, general duty-free allowance from Mrs. E, general duty-free allowance for Mrs. E. For Mr. A, can someone give me how much is the duty-free allowance out of 4,10,000? Out of 4,10,000, what is the duty-free allowance? And one point I have not explained you. There's one notification. 11 of 2004, as per which, under section 25, one laptop for a passenger having an age more than 18 years is exempted for carrying one number. I repeat, please make a note of this notification just for your reference purpose. A passenger of age more than 18 years, age greater than 18 years, is permitted to carry a laptop, without payment of duty. This is also covered under duty-free allowance. So now, when I gave this information, for Mr. A, help me to identify what is my general duty-free allowance. General duty-free allowance. First, we are talking only about A. Don't give for Mrs. A. Let's talk only about A. Harshit gave an answer. Okay. I'll wait for a couple of more answers, Harshit. Harshit says duty-free allowance of 3,80,000. Okay. Pitiable goods 30. Okay. For Mrs. A, he says 1,75,000. Okay. Mansa says A can enjoy Rule 3, personal effects, jewelry as per Rule 5. So excess of 50 is chargeable. What is answer, Mansa? I got your logic now. Your answer is perfectly right, but can you give me the value also, Mansa? Mansa says A can enjoy rule number 3, personal effects. Laptop, which is duty-free allowance as per the notification. Jewelry is as per rule 3 or rule 5. Can I not apply rule 5 because there is a specific provision? If I don't have a benefit of rule 5, let me apply rule 3. If I, good point. Now, Mansa is saying for jewelry, shall I apply rule 3 or shall I apply rule 5? My point would be, check rule 3. Take the benefit available under rule 3. Check rule number 5. If I can get a benefit under rule 5, apply even rule 5 because there is no mutually exclusive. When I read rule number 3, it doesn't say other than benefit under rule 5. When I read rule 5, it doesn't say other than the no, including the value covered under rule 3 or excluding rule 3. There is no mutual exclusiveness for rule 3 and rule 5. And both Harshit and Mansa, your reasonings are good, ma. You're applying both the rules and ending together. Mansa, I need a value, ma. Others, please give a value. Namrata. I'll wait for a minute. I think you need time to refresh your rule 3, rule 5, and then give your answer. I'll just wait for a minute and then give my answer. Ashit, slight correction is required, ma. You answer, but you have reached more or less, but revisit rule 3 and rule 5 and give your answer, Ashit. Okay. Namrata says 60,000. Think. Let us look at this. Now, everyone, there's no mutual exclusivity in application of rule 3, rule number 5. Rule 3, rule 4 is on the basis of the place, the state, the country from where the passenger is coming, right? Now, when I go for rule number 5, there was no mutual exclusivity. So, if I get a benefit of rule number 5, let me enjoy. If I get a benefit of rule number 3 alone, let me enjoy. If I get a benefit under rule 3, I also get under rule 5, let me enjoy together. Ashit, this is what I was referring to. Personal effects covered under rule number 3. Answer is yes. Duty free allowance, entire 2,50,000. Laptop, reference to the notification, 11 of 2004. Entire laptop is exempted. Jewelry. Jewelry, I play rule number 3. Now, is jewelry covered in Annexure 1? Answer is no. Since jewelry is not covered in Annexure 1, I'll apply rule number 3. Applying rule number 3, if I'm coming from a particular country, I'm a resident, which is other than Nepal, Bhutan, and Myanmar. In this example, it is from US. I get a benefit of 50,000 under rule number 3. Now I'll travel to rule number 5. I should be a person, I should be a passenger residing in abroad for more than 1 year. So Mr. A has returned back on 15th April 2021. 10th April to 15th April is more than 1 year. Then I get a benefit of up to rupees 50,000 subject to 20 grams. Assuming for a moment this jewelry is up to the prescribed 20 grams. So here I'll get further 50,000 in my entry number 5 by applying these provisions. For jewelry, rule number 3, I take advantage of 50,000. Since extra 30,000 is there, this 30,000 I take a shelter under rule number 5. Accordingly, entire 50 plus 30, 80,000 is going to be my answer for Mr. A. Are we clear for Mr. A? Are we clear for Mr. A? Harshit, hope this is clear, ma? Simple, Namrata, not much thing to confuse. You take advantage of, like, no, when you give a deduction, when you give a benefit, first you exhaust one particular rule, then apply another rule. So when I've exhausted rule number 3, the balance rule 5 gives me a benefit up to 50,000. So I'll take shelter from rule number 5 for the balance 30,000. Hope this is clear, Namrata. Now, for Mrs. A, let us examine for Mrs. A. Now, Mrs. A, first and foremost, she is a resident who's coming from US other than this NMB. So, rule number 3, can I apply? Answer is yes. Personal effects, I'll travel to rule 3. Now, when personal effects alone, personal effects are there, rule 5 does not talk about your, rule 5 talks only about jewelry. Rule 5 does not talk about personal effects. So, where do I search? Namrata, where do I search? The moment Mrs. A calls you, Namrata ma'am, I'm coming from US, my personal effects are worth 1,25,000. Can I carry this as a baggage? What you will say? Ma'am, don't worry. Under rule number 3, personal effects are exempt. So what you're giving guidance under rule number 3 for entire 1,25,000. Then jewelry Jewelry is an article, assuming it is less than 4 gram. This is fitting into rule number 3. Can this jewelry be fitted into rule number 5? When I travel to rule number 5, I should be a person residing abroad for more than 1 year. Now in this case, if you happen to look at Mrs. A. Mrs. A joined after 3 months. Mr. A left on 10th April 2020. Mrs. A left on 10th July 2020. She has come back on 14th April 21. So when you look at the period of Mrs. A stayed in abroad, this is less than 1 year. So for Mrs. A, benefit of rule number 5 is not permissible. So what is available for Mrs. A? Only under rule number 3, 50,000 is permissible. So my general duty-free allowance for Mrs. A would be 1,25,000 completely for personal effects. 50,000 which is covered under rule number 3. Whereby the value of duty for Mrs. A is going to be 15,000 which is in relation to jewelry. 15,000 which is in relation to jewelry. Once you know the value, the rest is up to you. 35% ad valorem on this 35%, surcharge 10% on that. This is how I apply my rule number 3 and rule number 5. No worry, Harshit. I note that in a hurry there was a mistake. Any research on solving a problem can be done in a classroom. Examination is not a forum where we need to do research. We need to apply our principles in examination. So all your research, like no right or wrong, etc., let's do in the classroom. And this is a platform where we have to test our skills. We have to test our thought process. Can we enjoy both rule 3 and 5? Answer is yes, Mansa. Answer is definitely yes. Now, Mansa, simple question to you, man. When, let's take this example. Say, Mr. and Mrs. Shinoy. So, Mr. Shinoy went a year back. Mrs. Shinoy joined after 3 months. Mrs. Shinoy called you and said, ma'am, I'm bringing a particular laptop. You will say, don't worry, there is a notification in 2004. You can enjoy duty from exemption from laptop. Ma'am, I'm bringing used personal effects, which is worth say 1 lakh. Again, you will say, don't worry, rule 3 says used personal effects you can carry. Then the next question comes to you. Ma'am, I'm bringing my jewelry, which is worth say 1 lakh. Then you will say, ma'am, you can enjoy duty-free allowance provided you are residing abroad for 1 year. How do you say? It is under rule 5. Now, when I read rule 3, when I read rule 5, nowhere there is a principle of mutuality, mutually exclusiveness. I can apply conjointly rule 3, rule 5 to the best possible direction available. Hope I have clarified my answer. Generally, when we read this rule 3, rule 4, rule 5, you get a doubt in isolation. But this is how we need to ensure. Before I start with rule number 6, with your permission, can we go ahead with rule number 6? Can we go ahead with rule number 6? Are we ready? Can we go ahead? Yes. Thank you. We will start with our rule number 6. Now, I have touched upon used personal belongings. I have touched upon travel souvenir. I also have touched upon articles. I also have touched upon jewelry. Now, there are 3 categories. Personal belongings, gifts and travel souvenirs, and your household goods. Rule 6 is an exclusive rule which deals with your household items. Here, we are dealing with household items. So in case of rule number 6, transfer a person who is engaged in a profession, abroad, or is transferring his residence to India, will be allowed duty-free clearance. Now here they just say person. Now this person, they say, who is engaged in a profession abroad. There is no reference to your origin. Are you a person of Indian origin? Are you a person of foreign origin? They didn't say anything. They just say person who is engaged in a profession abroad, or a person who is transferring his residence to India will be allowed duty-free clearance of articles on his return to in the manner given in the appendix below. So any articles which are brought in the process of transferring residence to India, or who's having a profession abroad is coming to India, that particular person is allowed this particular benefits. This allowance would be in addition. To general duty-free allowance under Rule 3 or Rule 4 as the case. So, top of Rule 3, Rule 4, Rule 6 is an additional allowance. Now, Mansa might be asking, so when I read Rule number 6, they say this is in addition to Rule 3, Rule 4. Unless and otherwise there is a exclusivity, I can combine Rule 3, Rule 5, I can combine Rule 4, Rule 5 for the purpose of customs duty. Now, when I go to application, unless there is a exclusion, there is no bar on me clubbing the provisions together. Now, Mansa may be asking, sir, there is a combination of 3 or 4 with Rule 6. Combination of 3 with 5. The language is not written exclusively. Because there is no exclusive, no mutual of exclusivity, I can combine both together to enjoy the benefit. This is coming from interpretation of statutes. Unless otherwise there is an explicit intent of the law, there cannot be a restriction. I repeat, this interpretation comes from your interpretation of statutes. Unless otherwise the law specifically says this is not allowed for exemption. This is not to be clubbed for benefit. You cannot restrict the assessing. So there should be a exclusivity for taxability, right? There's one more judgment which is used in GST law, which is reference to Govind Saran Ganga Saran. This is 7-bench Supreme Court judgment. One of the landmark judgment which determines how duty has to be ascertained. We say 4 pillars of taxation. Coming back, in this entry number, rule number 6, person is on the basis of duration. First is duration, examination of duration. Articles allowed. This is second class of exemption. Conditions. Any specific conditions imposed for this particular exemption. Point number 1. Duration of stay abroad from 3 months to 6 months. Now, what could be the scenario for this? Say for employment purpose. Maybe temporary employment purpose. I've gone abroad for temporary employment purpose. Like example, say there's a particular engineer who is an expert in fixing a particular machinery. There is a machinery manufactured in India which was shipped to Germany. He has to go to Germany along with the machinery for the purpose of installation, and then he has to come back. For a period of 3 to 6 months, he is visiting. Then they say, what are the articles allowed? Personal and household articles other than those mentioned in Annexure 1, Annexure 2, but including articles mentioned in Annexure 3 up to an aggregate value of rupees 60,000. Personal and household articles other than, they say personal household articles other than mentioned in Annexure 1, Annexure 2, but including Annexure 3, up to an aggregate of 60,000. So here, unlike your entry number 3, now when you read entry number 3, just come to your page number, 50. Use personal effects and travel souvenir and articles up to value. Now here, the language they have used in your rule number 3, use personal effects. But here, they don't say use personal effects. What they're saying, personal and household articles other than. So it's a sentence which has to be read together. This is a provision which has to be read together. So here, my personal and household articles up to an aggregate of 60,000, which excludes exclusion for Annexure 1, exclusion for Annexure 2, inclusion Annexure 3. Now, Annexure 1 is clear, Annexure 2 is also clear, Annexure 3. Now, this is a challenge examination. How do we remember Annexure number 3? I'll spend little time. Let us come to Annexure number 3, page number 5.56. Page number 5.56. Video cassette recorder, VCR, VCP, video television or VCD. Now, gone are those days, VCR, VCD or VCP, video television receiver. Gone are those days. We are, this law was written way back in 1990s. So even in 2023, we are still studying this particular entry drafted in 1990. So just remember VCR, VCD, VCP. Digital video displayer. Again, digital video displayer. This came in era of 1995 to 2005. That is an era where we used to have this disc player, digital video displayer, where we used to have a CD, where the moment I play a CD in the box, I could see on a screen the disc rotating. I could see. Gone that era where we still depend on disc player. Music system. Music system, common thing where when I have this VCR, VCD, I used to also have a music system. Again, the era where we used to have the tape recorder. I don't know how many of you have come from that generation, or rather you have not, I wouldn't say the generation, rather there's a tape recorder. We put it a small machine. There are buttons on the top. Press a button, plays forward. Press a button, plays backwards. Volume adjustment. So that is a system which we used to have, musical system with a tape system. So they are enjoying, they're saying that Annexure 3 music system is also allowed. So VCR, VCD, VCT or disc player along with music system. All these three put together for entertainment. Like, in the leisure time, you want to have entertainment. Let's presume from that background. Then air conditioner. Air conditioner, again, this is a luxury item for a set of people. However, when I move to Dubai, Gulf countries, I need to have AC because the climatic conditions are so hot. Without AC, we cannot survive. So AC is also one of the essential item. Micro oven. When I travel to countries like US and all, oven is a need item because the temperature there is usually up to 5 to 10 degrees. So always it is a chill place where, like AC, I need to have oven. Hot, cold. Like to have a room temperature, AC. To eat something, I need to have a hot oven. So again, a need which comes into picture. Word processing machine. Word processing machine. Gone are those days. We still have this word processing machine. Kind of a computer. Fax machine. Again, gone are those days, but the moment I say word processing machine, comes along with is your fax machine. Portable photocopying machine. My entry number 6 connected with 7, entry number 6 connected with 8. So when I have a computer, I use this computer where probably I need to send fax or I need to receive fax. I need to take a print. That's why I have photocopying machine. So when I talk about a computer, I need to have fax, I need to have photocopying machine. Then washing machine, the basic essential, right? So when we stay there, like I have gone for employment purpose. I cannot spend entire time on washing my clothes. So washing machine, probably yes. Electrical or liquid LPG cooking item. So like Kana Pakana. So I can have electrical or LPG cooking, gas cooking range. Personal computer. Along with word processing machine, a personal computer, which is a desktop computer, laptop, and refrigerator. Now, this came from 2000 era. Personal computer or a laptop. Last, refrigerator. Now, these are the basic essential items which are required. Refrigerator up to 300 liters. Now, this is how you will remember annexure number 3. No need to buy it. How we memorize? I've gone employment for employment purpose. I need to carry back. And during the process of my work, at the end of the work, I need to have entertainment. I will watch a TV. Sir, I cannot afford to have a TV. Then VCR, VCD. Then music system. Gone. So I have to stay in a room. For staying in a room, temperature, air conditioner. To eat, I need to have a temperature oven. Gone. So working, I need to have a word processing machine. When I say word processing machine, the era of 90s, along with the word processing machine, fax machine. Along with fax machine, photocopier. This comes as a package. Then next, since I'm working, I need to wash my clothes. Washing machine. Gone. Then for cooking, I need to have a stove, LPG or electrical. Done. Then the era of 2000, laptop or a personal computer. Then the last but not the least, refrigerator. Items, whatever is cooked, I need to dump somewhere, refrigerator. Up to 300 liters. This is how you remember your annexure number 3. Examination. For you to solve a problem, just remember this logic for annexure number 3. 3 to 6 months, the value of 60,000. 3 to 6 months, 6 is ending with 6 correlating 60,000. This is entry number for first item. For second item, second category, stays for 6 months to 1 year. Ending with 1, the value is 1 year. What do they say? Personal and household articles, other than annexure 1, other than annexure 2, but including mentioned in annexure 3, up to 1 lakh. Again, Indian passenger. Now, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 1 year. Bracket of 3 to 6 months, bracket of 6 to 1 year. How do you remember? Foundation every 3 months. Inter every 6 months. Articleship, like a change of principal after 1 year, within 1 year. We should have a ways to remember, right? So this is how we need to remember that 3 to 6 months, 6 to 1 year, right? And 6 to 1 year ending with 1, value up to 1 lakh rupees. Are we clear? Category 1, category 2, then category 3. Minimum stay of 1 year, minimum stay of 1 year during the preceding 2 years. So when a person says, sir, I have stayed abroad more than 1 year, this 1 year should be calculated in the preceding 2 years, where now there are conditions attached. Now entry number 1, entry number 2, entry number 1, entry number 2. There are no conditions other than Indian passenger. The third entry, Indian passenger should not have availed this concession in preceding 3 years. So they say, when I look at an Indian passenger who stayed abroad for more than 1 year, he should not have enjoyed this entry in preceding 3 years. Now, this is a case where all our techies, the software engineers, IRM, Gayaram, IRM, Gayaram. I'll go for employment visa. Sir, I'll be getting a work permit for 1 year. I'll come back in 1 year. I'll get my visa processed again. Again, I'll go back for 1 year. Again, I'll come back after 1 year. Again, wait for 2 months or 3 months. Get my visa renewed. Again, I'll go abroad. I'll come back. So because of your employment visa purpose, I go, come, I go, come. In those scenarios, they say that if there is an Indian passenger who has not availed this concession in last 3 years, then they're saying that in the last 2 years, you should have stayed for more than 1 year. Then what do they say? Personal and household articles other than mentioned in Article 1, Annexure 1 and Annexure 2, but articles mentioned in Annexure 3 up to a value of 2 lakh. The first entry, 60,000. Second entry, 1 lakh. Double of second entry, 2 lakhs in entry number 3. Double of my entry number 2, 2 lakhs in my entry number 3. This is for entry number 3. Let's go further. Next. Now, the fourth entry, which is little bulky, which is more conditional. First, I'll read the condition. Then, based on the condition, they have given some relaxation. Let us enjoy. Let us understand those two. Then come to the first entry. What is the condition? Minimum stay of 2 years abroad immediately preceding the date of his arrival on transfer of residence. So there is a shifting of residence. And the condition is, I should have stayed minimum 2 years abroad. Chalo. Sir, I have stayed for more than 2 years. What are the relaxation? The shortfall up to 2 months. Now, when they are talking about 2 years, the shortfall up to 2 months in stay abroad can be condoned by DC or AC of customs if the early return is on account of terminal leave or vacation being availed by the passenger or any other special circumstances for reasons to be recorded in writing. What they're saying is, for first condition, they say that the gentleman is coming back to India. The gentleman is coming back to India. When he's coming back, I can relax up to 2 months. How is that relaxation of 2 months is given? He's coming back because on account of terminal leave or vacation. Take example, Christmas. For Christmas, 1 month leave is given in US. Sir, मुझे ना extra 1 महीने का leave दिया हुआ है. So why should I stay in abroad for 1 month and come back to India? My visa is going to get expired in December, say December 31st. I am having a leave from December 1st onwards, and my visa is going to get expired on December 31st. When I have no employment on leave, I'm coming back to India. But when I'm coming back, my 2 years is going to get completed only on December 31st. Then ACDC will give a concession because you're coming back on leave purpose. This is my relaxation given for that 2 years thing. Second condition, total stay in India or short visit during the 2 preceding years should not exceed 6 months. Now, this gentleman who's coming back to India, shifting residence, he was there in India on a short visit during the preceding years should not exceed 6 months. Now, when I travel abroad, assuming there is an illness of parents, there is a police verification, there is a property to be sold, any reason I've come to India, there was a short stay. That short stay should not exceed 6 months. Again, the relaxation they say, Principal Commissioner ACDC can condone short visits in excess of 6 months in special circumstances by reasons recorded in writing. Third, passenger has not availed concession in the preceding 3 years. So when I want to enjoy entry under number 4, I should not have taken this particular relaxation in the last 3 years. Passenger has not availed this particular concession in the last 3 years. So this is how I get a relaxation. What is the value of relaxation? My personal and household effects other than Annexure 1, other than Annexure 2, but including Annexure 3 up to 5 lakh. 60,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh. So the last benefit given in rule number 6 is per rupees 5 lakh. Let me see any doubts before we take a break. Good. Mansa summarize this entries together. Entry number 1, 3 to 6 months. Okay, I'll just summarize. Namrata, pay attention. If the person is shifting his house, who's of a resident, who's of an Indian origin, they are saying that for entry number 3, who's an Indian passenger, for 3 to 6 months, article of annexure 1, annexure 2, not permissible. Annexure 3, permissible. For 3 to 6 months, the total value which is allowed as duty-free allowance is 60,000. So what if I stayed for more than 6 months, less than 1 year? Then I should be an Indian passenger. Articles of annexure 1, annexure 2, not permissible. Annexure 3, up to 1 lakh, permissible. Then third condition, I stayed for more than 1 year in the preceding 2 years. Then all those particular items which I'm bringing, I should not have enjoyed this particular shifting of residence in any of preceding 3 years. When I have stayed more than 1 year, they say, look at your last 3 years. In last 3 years, you should not have claimed Rule 6 benefit. No, sir, I'm not enjoyed any stay benefit. So if I'm not enjoyed any of Rule 6 benefit in the last 3 years, then I'll get a benefit of rupees 2 lakh. Then, sir, I have stayed for more than 2 years. If I've stayed for more than 2 years, then they say that, look, you have to fit into a condition that minimum of 2 years stay abroad immediately preceding the date of his arrival is required. Sir, I've stayed more than 2 years. Then there is a condonation of 2 years for 2 months, maximum of 2 months. Since you have stayed abroad for 2 years, up to 2 months, there is a condonation. Why there is a condonation? But various reasons, like sir, there are leaves or sick leave or there is an emergency, I have to come back. So various reasons. Condonation can be given maximum of 2 months. Second condition, during that 2 years, I could have come on a temporary visit to India. I've stayed abroad for 2 years, but during that 2 year span, if I've come to India for a short visit, that short visit should not go beyond 6 months. Right? And important for calculating this particular benefit, entry number 3, entry number 4. Entry number 3, entry number 4. Both these 3 entries, the concession last 3 years, if I see, I should not have touched rule number 6. If I have not touched rule number 6, I can get this particular benefit under entry number 4 for 5 lakhs. This is a total summary of my rule number 6. Hope this is clear, students. We are at 7:43. Let's have 10 minutes break. 7:53, let us resume back. 7:53, we are going to resume back. Let us continue with our discussion. Now, Namrata requested for last entry to be repeated once again. No, no. I'll quickly have a repeat of entry number 3. Entry number 3 says, see, I should have stayed minimum of 2 years abroad. I should have stayed minimum of 2 years abroad, right? So when I stay minimum of 2 years abroad, the calculation of 2 years, there could be a relaxation, there could be a condonation because 2 months they are saying. I could have come back little earlier than 2 years. Maybe in the span of 1 year, 11th month, I'm coming back. So why you're coming back before completing 2 years? So because I continuously work for 30 days in a month or say 25 days in a month. I have been given a leave every month. So I have a luxury of encashing my leave. That 1 month to complete 12-month span, I had extra leave. I have been permitted to leave 1 month early. So I have written to the ACDC consent. Sir, I have been having carry forward of leaves. I want to exhaust those leaves. So they have sent me after 1 year, 11 months. So that 2 months can be condoned by the consent ACDC. Right? So first condition is for 2 years, you can have a relaxation of that 2 months. During that 2 years journey, at times it so happens that some emergency purpose I have to come back to India for a short visit. Now, when I have been staying there abroad for 2 years, probably my father called me for some property sale. I need to sign documents. During my stay, there was some medical emergency. My father or mother needs my personal attention, so I have to come back. Or there could be some instant, like say there was a marriage or something fixed up. I have to come to India for a short visit. So during that 2 years, if you have visited back to India during a short span, that short span they say should not exceed 6 months. Last but not least, when you are enjoying this benefit, look at your last 3 years. You in the past 3 years span, preceding 3 years of your return to India, you should not have enjoyed benefit under this rule number 6. Right? So if he has not enjoyed the concession in this particular entry, he can enjoy the exemption up to rupees 5 lakh. 60,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, and 5 lakh. This is how I enjoy rule number 6. Now, this is something which is covered in rule number 3, rule number 4, rule number 5, rule number 6. Examination at best, 4 marks problem can be expected from baggage provisions. Moving further, there is something called unaccompanied baggage. Various provisions in this above rules are also applicable. Whatever we have discussed, rule 3 to rule number 6, above rules are also applicable to unaccompanied baggage. Unless specifically excluded. Now, if you read rule 3, rule 4, rule 5, rule 6, nowhere they have excluded. If unaccompanied baggage had been in possession abroad of the passenger and is dispatched within 1 month of his arrival in India or such further period as the ACDC may allow. So generally, I have come back to India within a 1 month's time. My luggage which is there abroad was sent back, which is called unaccompanied baggage. The said unaccompanied baggage can also land in India up to 2 months before date of arrival. So they say before my arrival, up to 2 months, the luggage can come. Or after date of arrival, within 1 month. Up to 2 months before arrival of the passenger. However, if the passenger is not able to arrive in India within 2 months due to circumstances beyond his control, like example, there is a war which is going in Ukraine. Sir, I have booked the ticket, flights are cancelled. What will I do? Like sudden illness or to him or any member of family, natural calamity, disturbed conditions, disruption of transport or travel arrangements in the country, etc. The DC or AC may extend the safe period of 2 months up to maximum of 1 year. So here, My benefits of accompanied baggage are also given to unaccompanied baggage. Examination. 2 marks MCQ will be tested. 2 marks MCQ will be tested in relation to this unaccompanied baggage. Where unaccompanied baggage has come to India. Say the passenger has come to India on 10th April 2022. The baggage has come to India on say 15th August 2022. And the passenger has claimed the benefit under rule number 3 up to rupees 50,000. Examine the relevant customs provisions. You will see that the AC or DC can allow for the goods within 1 month of its arrival in India or such further period as the DC may allow. So here they just say may allow. They haven't said cannot go up to 6 months or 1 year. So you will just say that generally the goods should have been dispatched within 1 month of its arrival. In case if the period is beyond 1 month, subject to the 11th permission of AC or DC, this baggage provisions are applicable. This would be your answer. Now, let me come to my material. This for quick understanding. Rule 3, Rule 4, Rule 5, Rule 6, we have understood. Rule, your annexure 3 is very simple, ma. No need to buy hat. Just remember the logic I have explained. That is good enough for you to take care. Baggage provisions applicable for crew member. The baggage rules are also applicable to the member of the crew engaged in foreign going vessel or for importation of their baggage when they are finally paid off termination to their engagement. However, other crew members of a vessel and aircraft may be allowed for to bring their items like chocolates, cheese, cosmetics, and other petty gift items for their personal or family use for a value not exceeding 1,500. So they are saying that the crew members of a vessel or aircraft will be allowed to bring items like chocolate, cheese, cosmetics, and other petty gift items. All these are not personal use effects like chocolate to eat, cheese, etc. So there is a value up to 1,500 rupees allowed as a baggage under the customs provisions. Then, temporary detention of baggage. Harshit, you have asked this question at the beginning of the session. I'll give you the background of this particular rule number, section number 80. Assuming for a moment, there is a particular item which was brought to India as a baggage. Some reason when rule 3 is applied, customs officer says that, my dear passenger, you have to pay a customs duty of say 50,000 to allow this item to be taken into India. The passenger thinks, say, I'm paying 50,000, I'm coming as a tourist, I'll stay for a 15 days quantity time. Again, I'm going back to my foreign country. Why should I pay customs duty of 50,000? That point in time, this particular passenger can think of depositing this article with customs authority. So there are provisions where I have brought some items. I have no intention to bring into India. I have brought some items which are not permissible to taken into India. Like example. Say, hypothetical example. There is an item called electronic cigar. Customs authorities feel that electronic cigar is a hazardous item, should not be permitted into India. Now there is a policy. So if customs officer feel that there are hazardous items which are not permitted to enter into India, they'll say, look, you're not supposed to carry. Then what I will do? I've come for tourist purpose. I'll deposit with the customs authorities. I'll go to India for my visit. By going back, I'll take those items back. Or I feel I don't want to pay customs duty. Then items which are prohibited may not be necessarily for payment of duty. They prefer to take back. So they will deposit with customs authority. They give a declaration for the items brought in and they take back those items when they return back. Harshit, this is the answer for your first question. Next, transit and transshipment. Examination, 4 marks question you can expect from transit and transshipment. Before I start with, let me see any doubts further. If Mansa says, sir, if baggage is not dispatched within 1 month, probably then it will not be treated as baggage. May not be baggage. If I request for condonation of delay and I request the consent AC or DC, they may take into consideration. Law is not rigid because the language they have used is the AC or DC may. So generally, again, law says may 100%. My experience, there was no relaxation for this unaccompanied baggage. Now, transit transshipment. Now, this is a provision where they are trying to make you understand when a particular vessel or when a particular aircraft comes to India with the goods carrying in that particular vessel. Let's take example of FedEx. I don't know how many of you have observed the flight, which is a FedEx flight, which is meant only for transportation of goods. When FedEx flight comes from a foreign nation, the flights could be playing within India between the countries also. Let's take, let me just take one blank slide. Just give me a minute. Say there's a aircraft which is operated by FedEx. This particular aircraft started its journey from Germany. This aircraft went to, say, Singapore. From there, it went to, say, Malaysia. From Malaysia, this came to India. In India, it has been to, say, Delhi. It has been to Mumbai. It has been to Delhi. From Delhi, it has gone to Mumbai. From Mumbai, this has gone to, say, China. Now here, the goods, like assuming 1,000 packets were loaded here, say 1,000 boxes. When it went to Singapore, 200 boxes were unloaded, 300 boxes were loaded. It came to Malaysia, 500 boxes were unloaded, 100 boxes were loaded. When it came to Delhi, 200 boxes were unloaded. There was no loading. It came to Mumbai. Say 100 boxes were unloaded, 400 boxes were loaded. Finally, it destined in China. Entire unloading happened here. So this is how the flight has traveled. The concept of transit, the concept of transshipment comes into here. The goods which are being carried in a particular flight, when it comes to India, those goods will be for a destiny outside India. Similarly, the goods which have come to India, probably the goods are meant for, other than Delhi and Mumbai, there could be goods which are meant for, say, Gujarat. There are goods which are meant for Tamil Nadu. Goods are unloaded at Delhi, goods are unloaded at Mumbai. This consignment is in turn sent to Tamil Nadu, in turn sent to Gujarat. Now, this could be called as a transshipment. And these goods are called transit. The goods coming to India, exiting out of India. Now, assuming that there is an imaginary line, I'm just drawing a line. This is an imaginary line which is called territorial waters. This is called territorial waters. Now, remember section 12? Under section 12, the moment aircraft crosses territorial waters, they say import duty gets applied. But as per the Supreme Court judgment, this import duty can be paid only when the goods become mass of the soil. That means to say, only when the bill of entry has been filed, the duty gets crystallized. The goods which have come, the aircraft which has come into India, this is traveled to two different places. From here, this is going out of India. So here, the moment the aircraft comes into India, there's a triggering point of import duty under Section 12. The import duty continues on transit goods. And the duty gets crystallized even on transshipment. Transshipment, the vehicle may not be, this aircraft is not called upon at all stations. In the sense, because of operational reasons, they feel that this particular aircraft need not visit Tamil Nadu, need not visit Gujarat. Let the aircraft visit Delhi, let the aircraft visit Mumbai. Let the pooling of goods happen either Delhi or Mumbai. And from there, let the aircraft travel back to the destination called China. So here, this concept of transshipment has been discussed for levy of duty purpose and continuity of a track for goods carried in a vessel or aircraft. This is a background with which transit and transshipment came into picture. Goods may be for Indian ports or for foreign ports. So when the vessel or aircraft is coming, the goods which are carried may be for Indian port, may be for foreign port. Conveyance may not call at all other Indian ports or custom station. Conveyance may call at all Indian ports or custom, means not visiting all the ports, visiting all the ports. This could be the way the aircraft is shuttling itself. Differences. Examination. Theory question for 4 marks. Differentiate. Explain the reason. Explain the difference between transit and transshipment. So the provisions of transit are covered under Section 52. Provisions of transshipment are covered under 54. Examination. You need not remember. Sir, I don't remember. The provisions of transit are covered under as per the separate provisions of customs law. The provisions of transshipment are covered under separate provisions of Customs Act. So I can just say under the provisions of Customs Act. Goods are allowed to remain in the same conveyance in case of transit. Goods are unloaded from one conveyance and unloaded and loaded in another conveyance. Now, why transshipment? Aircraft moving from one port to another port, not economical. I'll unload at Delhi. The lorry will come. It will get loaded into lorry. Using the lorry, the destination goods are delivered. Flying of an aircraft is worth, say, 50,000. Taking the goods for delivery through a lorry may be worth 10,000, cost 10,000. So because of these operational reasons, they may use transshipment. There is a continuity in records. In case of transshipment, continuity in records is not maintained since goods are transferred to another conveyance. I'll also give another background when I explain this particular provision. Goods brought to customs area. This is in case of I'm explaining in case of a transshipment. The provision called transshipment. Where there's a flight which has come to India. The first and only port which has visited by this flight is Delhi International Terminal. In Delhi, the goods are unloaded. This is called customs area. From flight, after unloading, this was shipped to transit vehicle for meant for Goa customs area. That means to say the goods which have been landed in India with the permission of customs authorities, the goods will travel to another custom area called Goa. So here the import general manifest what we see. This contains flight details till the goods came to Delhi. After this has come, the goods will be the register what we are talking here, the register will be updated using vehicle details. Whatever vehicle details are there, this particular vehicle prevails. Here, pilot is in charge of this particular conveyance. Here, driver would be the person in charge of this particular transport vehicle. So here, continuity of register is broken. Why? The goods which are brought from one place to another place, transshipped to another vehicle, a fresh register is updated. From this particular vehicle, maybe transshipped to another vehicle. Again, this particular register will be breakage and a new register will be opened by this particular vehicle. So this is the purpose of your transshipment. Now, another topic, stores. I'll just summarize this simple provision called stores. Imported stores are allowed for keeping in a bonded warehouse and thereafter supply to vessel or aircraft. When I say stores, stores are those items which are meant for consumption in a vessel, which are meant for consumption in an aircraft. Example, fuel, spare parts, or tools and equipments. All those items which are relevant for this vessel or aircraft, they call them as stores. And when the vehicle is coming into territorial waters, it doesn't come just like that. It also carries stores which are relevant for this vessel or aircraft. So this is meant to be kept in a bonded warehouse. Importer makes and subscribe to a declaration that goods are to be supplied as stores to vessel or aircraft without payment of duty. That means to say, when a vessel has come into the customs water, the moment the vessel has come, all the goods which are there in the vessel are meant for subject to duty. Coming into Indian territorial waters, assuming there is a repair to be done for a vessel. From stores, I take some bill of material, I apply for the vessel to repair. Because the consumption happened in Indian soil, there could be a demand for duty. They will say, look, this is meant for a vessel which is going for a foreign soil. Please give me an exemption. For that purpose, this section 85 says, if the stores are meant for a vessel or aircraft which is an outgoing vessel, no need to pay duty. If the vessel is meant for Indian born and the goods that stores are consumed in India, then applicability of duty comes into picture. Proper officer may permit the goods to be warehoused without the goods being assessed to duty. This practice is a deviation to regular provisions concerning the warehouse. So only in relation to stores, without assessing the duty, they permit to be kept in a bonded warehouse. This slide pertain to baggage provisions. We have already discussed. I'll just skip this thing. Yeah. Stores are nothing but goods for use. These are the goods for use in a vessel or aircraft. Includes fuel, spare parts, other articles, equipment, whether or not for immediate effect. Above also covers food, drink, medicines, life-saving equipment like oxygen, lifeboat, article equipment used for entertainment. So all these items are defined under this term called stores. These are not imported or exported in the course of international trade. This is part and parcel of my vessel or aircraft. Relating to transit and transshipment, stores imported in a vessel or aircraft may remain on board of such vessel or aircraft without payment of duty while it is in India. So when the goods are meant for transit, foreign going vessel came into India, unloaded, went out of India. I repeat, foreign going vessel came into India, unloaded at a particular port. From here, it went outside India. That's called transit. Then, no need to pay duty. Any stores imported in a vessel or aircraft may, with the permission of proper officer, be transferred to any vessel or aircraft as stores for consumption therein, which is called transshipment. Now, one aircraft has come, the stores have been transshipped from that particular vessel or aircraft to another aircraft or vessel, which is meant for, say, outbound. Without payment of duty, the transshipment also permissible. Consumption. Any imported stores on board a vessel or aircraft may, without payment of duty, be consumed during the period of such vessel or aircraft as a foreign going vessel. So if the vessel is meant for outbound, no need to charge any customs duty. So what happens? There's an aircraft. There is a FedEx aircraft which has come to Mumbai, Chhatrapati Shivaji International Terminal. In the process of unloading, there was one particular big machinery which was damaged. This machinery is not available in stores. That particular machine can be purchased from India. If it is purchased from India, what do they say? Stores consumed on a vessel or aircraft from first Indian port or airport of arrival till the final port or departure to a destination outside India shall not be subject to duty. No duty is leviable as long as this vessel or aircraft is a foreign going vessel. If the vessel or aircraft ceases to be or converts to be a run local flight, then duty will be chargeable. So here, if the aircraft or vessel is meant for outbound, no need to pay duty. If it is in India, it's going to residing in India, then duty is applicable. Now, in case of the goods which are supplied by an Indian manufacturer, indigenous goods manufactured produced in India, goods manufactured or produced in India, supplied to a foreign going vessel, to a vessel. Goods are required as stores. Now, these goods which are supplied are meant to be stores on a foreign going vessel or aircraft, may be exported free of duty in such quantity as the proper officer may determine. So, this particular machinery, which is purchased from Mumbai for this particular FedEx aeroplane, which is meant for outboard travel. Since the machinery manufactured in Mumbai or Pune, which is given to this flight, which is going out of India, this is called outboard and no need to pay any customs duty. Import procedures, export procedures, these are all, I would say, basic in nature. I'll just skip this paucity of time. I'll come to the next topic for today's discussion, which is called refund under customs law. Refund under customs law. Background. When I talk about this topic called refund under customs law, there are situations and circumstances where duty was paid, which is not to be paid. Duty has been paid erroneously more than what needs to be paid. Or government by way of a notification have decided that let the duty be refunded back. Or there are circumstances where the goods which have come to India have been sent back out of India. Those are the circumstances where we will examine the provisions of customs law to see what and when refund can be claimed. I'll just give you the background of this. Refund. Reasons for refund. Probably personal effect. In the sense, there is a medicine called remdesivir. COVID point in time, many organizations have imported this medicine called remdesivir. Initially, there was a customs duty applicable on that. Later, Government of India have declared that, look, this is meant for COVID, this is a medical emergency, let there be an exemption for personal consumption. So any person who has imported for personal, they get an exemption. Point number 2. Erroneous payment. I have to pay customs duty of 12,000 for a particular consignment which is imported. My accountant, by mistake, instead of 12,000, he punched in 10 extra. It has become 1,20,000. So I paid excess amount of 1,08,000. I can claim back as a refund under customs provisions. Third, a levy which is unconstitutional. I have paid customs duty, maybe on exports, maybe on imports. Say example, safeguard duty. I have challenged that, sir, this particular items, you cannot levy safeguard duty. Whatever assessment, whatever reasons are given by the customs authority, those are all baseless. I challenged in a high court. High court gave me a favorable decision. I can get a refund of the duty which was paid. Next, goods imported and returned thereafter. So why I have imported the goods, I've realized that the goods are not relevant. I've asked for say hydro engine machine. The machine which has come is kinetic engine machine. I've asked for a particular technology machine. What they have sent is a different technology machine. So at the customs, I have decided that this is not fit for my requirement. I've sent back. Again, I can claim a refund. Point number 5. Goods exported with payment of customs duty are returned back as sales return, sales rejection. I exported onion. Some reason customer says this is not up to the standard quality. Take it back. The goods are coming back. Whatever customs duty I pay, I can claim as a refund. Now, these are the aspects which are connected with refund, where 2-3 provisions are there, which I'll make you to understand how refund mechanism works. In addition to this particular refund mechanism, there's one more element which is tested in your exam called interest. Any refund which is entitled and which is not paid in 3 months, after the day the refund is due, within 3 months, they need to refund back the customs duty or paid. If money is not paid within a span of 3 months, then this particular refund will be entitled with a simple interest at the rate of 6%. Examination, one another aspect which will be tested is interest on refund entitlement. Next, there's one important topic, the core crux of entire discussion of refund is unjust enrichment. Unjust enrichment. I'll take 5 minutes over here where there's one Supreme Court judgment in case of Mafatlal Industries. Landmark judgment, which talks about this core concept called unjust enrichment. I don't know how many of you have given a CA certificate, in relation to customs, in relation to GST law. This concept of unjust enrichment is something which is tested time and again whenever refund has to be given by the authorities concerned. The concept of this unjust enrichment is no person shall unduly enrich themselves twice for a tax paid. I'll give an example to make you understand this concept of unjust enrichment. Say on 10th April 2022, a consignment of say like cartridge has been imported, wherein the duty was paid at the rate of 18%. The duty was paid at the rate of 18%. But the proper officer need a correction to the bill of entry and collected duty at the rate of 35%. Collected at the rate of 35%. Now, assuming for a moment, each cartridge is worth, the CF value is worth, say, 10,000. And just for hypothetical discussion purpose, customs duty paid is, say, 3,500. Let's just forget this surcharge just for time being, only for understanding purpose. My total value happens to be 13,500. My total value happens to be 13,500. On this, I need a profit markup of, say, 1,500. And this item was sold for 15,000. Now, so the importer happens to be Mansa. Mansa is very particular with respect to classification, valuation, exemption notification, all aspects. She is very particular. Like she says, no. How dare the buffer officer can demand 35%? I believe it should be 18%. Kamakam, Luti, the importer challenges this gap of 17% customs duty. That is, per product, excess duty of rupees 1,700. Now she has challenged in High Court. High Court have examined and said, look, there was a notification for a moment, let's assume 2 of 2020, which gives a rate of duty of 18%. Now, there's a verdict in favor of Mansa. Now, Mansa says, yeah, let's celebrate because, no, I have imported 1,000 cartridges. I have imported 1,000 cartridges. So 1,700 per cartridge into 1,000 pieces what I paid. I'm going to get a money called 17 lakh. This is what, this is called excess duty paid. Mansa says, my dear officer, look, this is what you have asked me to pay. This is what the High Court have said. In overall, 17 lakhs is what I have paid you. Now, what she'll say? Give me a refund. Now, customs officer who happens to be an intelligible person. For a moment, let's assume that Harshit happens to be a customs officer. Harshit says, my dear lady, you have demonstrated that you have paid customs duty. Look, you have paid 10,000 as CF value. You have paid customs duty of 3,500. This happens to be your cost price. On this, you have loaded your profit margin and you have sold. Already, this 3,500 what you have paid, this is what High Court say as tenable. This is what High Court has said not tenable. Now, this 1,700, have you taken the burden? Have you taken the burden of this 17 lakh? If Mansa says, yes, I have taken the burden, then refund will be, Harshit says, I'll give you the entire refund. If Mansa says, no, I have not taken a burden, then technically refund is entitled as per the High Court decision, but this refund will be transferred to Consumer Welfare Fund. Consumer Welfare Fund. Reason, Mansa happens to get a benefit of 3,500 from customer. Also, she is claiming this 1,700 back from the department. Since burden is not on the shoulders of Mansa, unjust enrichment. Read this sentence. No person shall unduly enrich themselves twice. Once Mansa collected this money of 1,700 from customer, again she is asking the same 1,700 from the government. So this law says that no, this element of unjust enrichment cannot be sustainable, whereby in case if the refund is due, I'll give it to the consumer welfare fund, not to the person who have paid this. So nut tension, when the refund has to be given, the refund will be given to a person who paid or the person who is obligated to pay. Right? So this is how my customs law runs around. So what do I need to do to establish that unjust enrichment is satisfied? Unjust enrichment is satisfied. So here, when 3,500 customs duty is paid, which is bifurcated into 1,800, 1,700, agree and absorb as your cost. So why it is cost? Look at your AS2, principles of costing, principles of inventory valuation. Any duty or taxes paid which is not sell-vatable becomes part of your cost. 1,700 which was paid, pay it under protest. Pay it under protest. Once you pay it under protest, it should not be part of costing. So when it is not part of costing, what will I do? This needs to be parked in your balance sheet as current asset, as duty or tax returnable by government. You have challenged this. When you have challenged this is parked in your balance sheet as current asset. So when you apply for refund to prove to the GST authorities, you will give your cost analysis. That is your cost sheet. In this cost sheet, you will demonstrate that you're not going to park this 1,700 as your cost. Rather, this has been parked separately in your balance sheet as a refundable item. In this scenario, because the seller who happens to be the importer who happens to be Mansa, she is not going to be enriched twice. Whatever 1,700 was paid, look, I have not collected from my customer. So when I do my costing, 10,000 happens to be my CAF value. The duty added as per AS2 is 1,800. Landed price, I'll say 11,800. Profit margin, say 1,200. Selling price is going to be 13,000. This is my sale price. This is what I will demonstrate to my customs officer. Right? So on the basis of this, unjust enrichment is going to be working upon. Now I'm making all the theory which is in your institute material pretty simple for you to understand these aspects. A lot of questions are there. I'll just take that and we'll discuss back once again. Sharat says, sir, if vessel or aircraft due to technical issue, operational issue, engine issue, vessel or aircraft is not able to cover further journey, goods are shifted to the new vessel or aircraft, this situation will be called for transit or transshipment. This is called transshipment. Very good. This is a question asked by Harshit, connected with transit or transshipment. I'll explain once again this way. Let us assume for a moment ABC Cargo Inc. This is an entity which is based operations from, say, Germany. This ABC INC have brought their vessel to Indian customs water. There's like one more another vessel which is going from India to some other foreign destination. Now, the vessel one which came to Indian customs water, there was a damage. The goods in that vessel are parked from vessel 1 to vessel 2. And this vessel 2 is going to travel to different places in India, then leave abroad. The goods which are stopped, which are moved from one vessel to another vessel, this is called transshipment. My space, my stores, my goods from vessel 1 move to vessel 2. There is a breakage of record. When there is a breakage of record, when there is a breakage of journey from one vessel to another vessel, from one flight to another flight, that's called transshipment. If the vessel continues as it is without shifting the goods, then that's called transit. So when do I call transit? Goods came from foreign nation. Some goods are unloaded. The balance goods are went back to the foreign nation. That is called transit. Hope this is clear, Harshit. Yes, ma'am. Duty drawback is not there in the new syllabus, Harshit. Only refund is covered in our new syllabus. Only refund is covered in our syllabus. Now, let me come back to your material. We will quickly run through the relevant provisions. Application for refund. The person who paid the duty or the person who bore the incidence of tax. Application can be filed by the person who has paid the duty or the person who take the burden of payment of such duty or tax. Time limit filing my refund application is 1 year from the date of payment. A claim for import or export may be made before expiry of 1 year from the date of payment. So the day I made the payment, within 1 year, I should file my refund application. If I have paid my customs duty under protest, they say that because it is under protest, there's no time limit of 1 year. Why no time limit of 1 year? When I say protest, the term protest is challenging. When I have challenged this particular duty demand, initially I have challenged before a proper officer who happens to be a AC or DC. This gentleman took 3 months to pass an order. Again, I have to challenge this before, say, Commissioner Appeals. Commissioner Appeals took 1 year to pass an order, which is in favor of the department. I challenged this before High Court. High Court took, say, 2 years for giving their verdict. This again I have challenged in Supreme Court. Supreme Court took, say, another 3 years for giving final verdict. So here, final verdict came in favor of the assessing. Now, if you see here, from the date of order, I claim my refund. So in case of protest, there is no time limit. And also the provision says that if the refund is less than 100 rupees, no need to file a refund claim. I'm just touching the important aspects, ma. Other basic aspects which you have already dealt in your GST, like the other faculty, I think, I don't remember the faculty name, but whatever provisions we have connected on GST, basic paperwork, I'll skip. In the following circumstance, examination, 4 marks theory question. Only in the following circumstances, amount of duty and interest found refundable instead of being credited to consumer welfare fund is to be paid to the applicant. They'll ask you, give any 5 circumstances where the refund shall be given to the applicant instead of being transferred to consumer welfare fund. The examples for those scenario: if importer or exporter, as the case may be, has not passed on incidence of such duty and interest to any other person. When I say incidence, the other meaning of incidence is nothing but burden. The burden of duty or tax has not been passed on to any other person. So how do I prove that the incidence is not passed on? Look at your balance sheet. In my balance sheet, there is a current asset where the duty I have paid have been parked as entitled for refund. Clause number B. If imports were made by an individual for his personal use, like example, say Harshit has imported a machinery, which laptop, which is meant for his education purpose. The Ministry of Education have brought an exemption notification under Section 25 saying that any student who is pursuing his studies up to higher education can import a laptop which is meant for their education purpose without payment of customs duty. So here, Harshit paid customs duty and later he said that, look, I have paid customs duty, but I forgot to give a documentary evidence that I have been pursuing my higher education, based on which give me a refund. Harshit is an individual which is meant for personal use. No need to test your principle of unjust enrichment, incidence of tax. It will be refunded to Harshit. Clause number C. The buyer who has borne the duty and interest has not. The buyer who has borne the duty and interest has not passed on instance of such duty and interest to another person. Like example, there is an importer. Importer did a transfer of title, who is called as a buyer 1, buyer 1, buyer 2, buyer 3. Buyer 1 happens to be a wholesale dealer. Buyer 2 happens to be a retailer. Buyer 3 happens to be an end consumer. So here, though importer is named as an importer, he did a transfer of title before filing bill of entry. Since the buyer 1 has paid customs duty, if he has not passed on the incidence of tax to buyer 2, then under clause C, the principles of A are covered here. This A is applicable for importer, clause C is applicable for buyer 1. If buyer who has borne the duty and tax or interest has not passed on instance of such duty and interest to any other person. So in case if this is established, then this buyer 1 can claim a refund. Clause D. Amount found refundable relates to export duty paid on goods which has been returned to exporter as specified in section 26. Now 26, which deals with goods sold, returned back or rejected back. Goods sold have come back within a span of 1 year. Then within a span of 6 months, I as an exporter can claim a refund. Now, how do I show? Sir, I exported onion, I paid customs duty. The same consignment has come back. Please refund my export duty paid. Clause number E. Amount relates to, in case of D, FOB value is there, export duty is there. FOB value is something which will be paid by customer. Export duty is something which is absorbed by this state. So in that case, this money which was paid will be refunded back to this exporter. Reason, when the goods come back, whatever FOB value is paid by the customer, he will pay to this exporter. Since the export duty is paid by this particular exporter, without testing this principle of unjust enrichment, it will be refunded back. If amount relates to duty drawback of duty payable under 74-75. Now, this duty drawback is not covered in your new syllabus. I'll just explain this duty drawback. Section 74 or section 75. Duty drawback. Just to know the backdrop. Assuming that there's a plant and machinery which is imported. There's a plant and machinery which is imported. And this plant and machinery, in the process of installation, there's a malfunction. There's a malfunction. And the exporter say it is not possible to repair. Not possible to repair. So what I have to do? Don't worry. Send it back. This is what exporter say. Then let export order is like on the basis of my shipping bill. I'll file a shipping bill for exporting the goods. Let export order is passed and the goods reach the export country, exporter country. This is what happens in case of a machinery came, installed, found defect, sent back. When it is imported, say 35 lakh rupees, 35 lakh has been paid as customs duty. It's a pinching factor when the machinery is going back. So what will I do with this? At the time when you file your shipping bill, if identity of goods is established, then 95% of such duty is given as drawback. Drawback, refund, both are interchangeable terms, but meaning is going to be the same. So here, my machinery on which I have paid customs duty, 95% of rupees 35 lakh will be given back to me as duty drawback. Because I'm the same person identified who was imported, I'm same person who's filing shipping bill, I will be entitled for drawback. In this case, principle of unjust enrichment will not be tested. Rather, it will be given back to me as it is. This is the concept of this duty drawback under 7475. Next aspect. If the duty or interest was borne by a class of applicants, it has been notified for such purpose in the official gazette. Like example, medical emergency. There was utmost requirement of a particular machinery for surgery. There was no time where this particular hospital or the patient or the family members of this particular patient can write a letter to the finance ministry, get a special approval and give it to the customs officer. They imported a machinery, imported a particular drug. After clearance, they wrote an application to the finance ministry. Facts were examined. Documents are taken from the hospital. On the cases of the case history, on the cases of certificate of export, they will give a relaxation because this is for so particular purpose. On the basis of notification published in public gazette, it will be refunded back. Clause G. If the duty paid in excess, if the duty is paid in excess by the importer, before an order permitting clearance of goods for home consumption is made. Like example, 12,000 to be paid, 1,20,000 was paid. 1,08,000 excess paid will be given back. Where such excess payment of duty is evident from the bill of entry, or the duty actually payable is reflected in the reassessed bill of entry in case of reassessment. Probably mistake happened at my end while paying the duty. Mistake happened at the customs officer while assessing this particular aspect. Concept of unjust enrichment, I have explained with an example. So I'll move further. You remember this judgment, Mafatlal Industries, one classic case law, though it was under central excise. Even till today, even under GST law, the principles laid out in this Mafatlal Industries case are still being followed up. Now, refund of interest is payable. What does this law say? The customs has to finalize refund claims without delay upon receipt of refund application in proper form along with all documents. When the application is given by the proper applicant with all aspects, refund should be given without a delay. In case of any duty ordered to be refunded to the applicant is not refunded within 3 months from the date of receipt of application for refund, interest is to be paid to the applicant. So the government says that interest has to be paid 5% to 30%. As on today, 6% is the interest which has to be paid. They say that interest is to be paid for the period beginning from the day immediately after expiry of 3 months, from the date of receipt of such application till the date of refund of such duty. So here, there is a luxury of 3 months. There is a luxury of 3 months for the proper officer to evaluate and give refund. So here, machinery provisions. In case if the assessee defaults in making the payment of duty, the day the duty is liable, immediately after there, interest is payable. And what is the rate of interest? If assessee has to pay, if an importer or exporter has defaulted, the rate of interest is 15%. And from where? Immediately after due date. Look at the mighty of the government. The very same government has to give me back my refund. Instead of paying 15%, it is being paid at 6%. Was that interest being paid immediately after filing my application? Will that interest will charge from there? They say, no. They say that wait for 3 months. The day immediately after expiring 3 months, from the date of receipt of your application till the day you get your money, I'll pay you interest. This is a luxury of 3 months given to the proper officer to sleep over on your application and then pay you back. So can I challenge this? When we read these provisions, immediate question comes. So can we challenge in a court? Why is that they are keeping silent? They say that this is a policy matter. Government is not meant for public, economic cause. You cannot bring the principle of equity. Now, this is one unconstitutional, I wouldn't say unconstitutional. This is a constitutional measure. They say principle of equity. Principle of equity. That means to say, you cannot compare yourself at par with government. Government is a supreme authority. Government being a supreme authority who frames law, the benefits which are given to the government cannot be extended to the non-government mechanism, non-government machinery. So you as a businessman, when you have defaulted in payment of tax, immediately after the due date, till you pay the duty, your interest needs to be paid. But in case of the government, there's a luxury of 3 months. After 3 months, if still your money is not given, you are entitled for refund with interest at the rate of 6%. Time limit, 1 year we have discussed. Refund of export duty, this also I have discussed. Refund of import duty in certain cases. This is one last topic which is a small topic for your understanding. There are instances where goods have come which is in a damaged condition, which is in a defective condition, or goods have come which are not meant for my suitable requirement. I'm not in any duty drawback. Then the customs officer says that the goods which have come, which are defective, the goods which are identified to the satisfaction of the AC/DC consent, I have not claimed any duty drawback under 73, 74, 75. Importer exports the goods or relinquishes the title to those goods or goods which are destroyed, which is meant for commercially no value. Then if I file an application within a span of 6 months, I'll get a duty refund under section 26A. If it is a perishable goods, they say you're not entitled for refund. So section 26A is a very small parallel provision compared to your duty drawback. Goods have come, found defective, shown to the identity of customs officer, satisfaction of the customs officer. My lord, these are the goods which have come. These are the same goods which I'm sending back, and the goods have sent back with the proper officer, your approval of the customs officer. Whatever duty you have paid within 6 months, if you file a refund application, you'll get the refund of that particular amount as refund. Refund is not a substitute to appeal. This is a famous case law again from Priya Blue Industries. This Priya Blue is one entity where they have not filed a appeal. Rather, they just say that, look, we don't agree with whatever demand you have made. This particular duty is not in parity with the customs law. So I'll file a refund application. Then the high courts have said that, look, there are two things. You agree with the demand, you disagree with the demand. You agree with the demand, pay, clear the goods. you don't agree with the demand, then you're supposed to lodge your complaint saying that it is under protest. Then you challenge this particular duty before the officer concerned. Here, in this case of Priya Blue Industries case, goods have come after a span of generally 60 days is the time limit within which appeal has to be filed, and 1 year is the time limit for me to claim a refund. This entity has imported the goods. After expiry of 60 days, they file a refund application saying that I don't agree with your duty assessment. I have ought to pay 18%, but you have demanded it 35%. So whatever excess you have demanded 17%, kindly give me as a refund. The courts have said that, look, the officer who is empowered with refund is different from an officer who is empowered with appeal. So the person who is dealing with appeal has got a specific power to examine, to lodge your scenario why you're paid under protest. And this officer who's connected with refund, he has been empowered. He has only the power to refund in the given scenario of Section 26. Because there is a clash of your understanding, instead of you coming to a north window for filing appeal, you came to a south window to file a refund application. Your refund application is entitled only if it is empowered under a notification. Because it is an appeal, you're not satisfied, you should have taken that window which is called north window. The time limit to travel to north window, that is appeal, is 60 days. The time limit to travel to south window, refund, is 1 year. Since both are in different dimensions, you're not entitled for refund. This is what discussed in this particular famous case. With this, we come to the end of our today's discussion on refund, which is there under customs law. There's one last question which is asked by Harshit. So deposit under protest, whether interest on money will be paid or not. Yes, Harshit. I'll make it clear this way. Now, deposit under protest and interest, both are two different mechanisms. Let's take example this way. Goods have come. I have gone to the customs officer. I have assessed that 18% is payable. Customs officer assessed that it is payable at 35%. I admitted under protest saying that I'll pay 18%. The balance 17% I'm paying under protest. Now, goods have been cleared. You have taken for factory for consumption. Customs officer says, Mr. Harshit, you have paid under protest. These are the reasons I believe this is not to be deposited under protest. Rather, there is a notification as per which this is a duty payable. Proper officer gave his opinion. Now, as Harshit, as importer, you will take a call. Are you happy with the decision? Are you not happy with the decision? If you're not happy with the decision, you will challenge in a high court. Say Commissioner Appeals. Now, Commissioner Appeals has examined your submissions and the decision made by the proper officer. Commissioner Appeals is of the view, Harshit view is right, proper officer view is wrong. Commissioner Appeals have filed an order saying that this 17% is due for refund. The day the order is passed, Harshit, from there, 3 months is the time limit within which you should get a refund. If the proper officer has not refunded back that money, after 3 months, whatever is the period is there, for that period, interest is payable. So here, when you have deposited money under protest, whatever money is due to you, from the day you get your money due by virtue of an order, you are entitled to get money within 3 months. If the money is not paid within 3 months, then interest is payable. Right? So with this, we come to the end of today's discussion. Students, from next topic, the next topic that is on this Saturday, we're going to discuss on this topic called foreign trade policy. Very interesting topic. Examination point of view, probably just a score for 2 to 4 marks. But from your career point of view, take it from me, It's a very good topic which you should listen to, right? So till such time, let's take a break. Good night. Goodbye. See you all.